Hi, my name is Rachel and I hit 5,000 subscribers. Yay! That was actually my goal for the year, and my channel sort of popped off because of, well, authors behaving badly, honestly. So I am doing a let's celebrate because I hit 5,000 video. This is it. I'm going to be doing a Q&A. I'm also going to be watching my first video, which, haha, cringe, help. So this is the Q&A portion. If you want to skip to the cringy video watching, that part is right here. First, I just want to say thank you to everybody who is supporting and watching. I, honest to God, cannot believe that this is like a thing that I get to do and get paid for. That's really fucking awesome because I'm a stay-at-home mom and I don't have the ability to get a part-time job right now. It's not a thing that we can work into our schedule with the kids' school schedule, so this is kind of the only thing that I can do unless I somehow pick up a skill that can get paid from home, and this is my skill, I guess. Ooh, yikes. Okay, anyway, I have 5,000 subscribers, so let's celebrate by answering questions. I asked on Twitter, and alright, so first one, what was your favorite cringe read? What was my favorite cringe read? The worst thing that I mean, like, what is that question? What is my favorite cringe read? I don't know how to answer that. I'm already failing. This video's a fucking flop. I don't know. If you're asking, like, what's the worst book I've ever read, far and away, like, the most laughably awful thing I've ever read is J.M. Buckler's first book. Like, her series is the worst thing that I've ever read. Ever. It's so bad. All I can do is laugh at her continually, straight to my bank account. If you and your most hated author were locked in a room together, how long would they survive? They'd want out. I wouldn't do anything to anybody. Like, I'm not violent. But oh my God, I would roast the shit out of them until they wanted out. They would want to claw their way out. It would probably be J.M. Buckler. Her books are just the worst. Like, just the worst thing that I have ever read in my life. I would non-stop roast her. I have so many questions. What author do you auto-buy? Elizabeth Acevedo. Auto-buy immediately. And she's coming out with a new book soon. It's adult and I'm so excited. Margaret asked, what is your favorite video you've filmed so far this year? I think that my favorite has probably been talking about, like, books that I actually liked, obviously, like Edgewood and Icebreaker. Those videos they absolutely fucking flop on views. They get, like, very little views. I make nothing off of them, but I had a lot of fun making them. If you're asking me, like, what one made me, like, shocked, it was definitely, like, looking into the first, like, authors behaving badly, which was Tucker Reed. Oh, there's dust. I just couldn't believe how many fucking twists and turns that story took with, like, the murder, but then, like, starring in a movie that, like, that mirrored the murder. Like, so I had a lot of fun putting that together because I was so shocked by every twist and turn. So those, I guess. I hope that answers. What's one thing you'd change? Oh, Neeks. What's one thing you'd change about your YouTube journey if you could? I would start sooner. I could have used this years ago. Like, I really lost myself becoming a mom. I had so much going on, like, personally that I was into before I became a mom, and everything just came to a screeching halt, and all I was, my entire personality, even my friendships, wrapped around me being a mother. I could have used something like this years ago. So I really should have started back in, I should have started when I lived in Japan, because then I could have made, like, really fun vlogs and I would have had those to, like, remember my time by. So I regret not starting a channel a lot sooner. So, like, my advice to anybody who's like, oh, I should start a channel, do it now before you're, like, years later regretting that you hadn't started sooner. Like, no matter what happens with your channel, at least you'll have, like, the stuff to look back on. Like, I wish that I had videos of living in Japan to look back on. What are some reads you've enjoyed this year? Oh my God, there's so many. Okay, so I started the year reading some graphic novels I really loved. Punderworld, Wash Day Diaries, both so good. Love, absolute 5 stars. And then I really liked, again, Icebreaker, Edgewood. I'm reading I'm Glad My Mom Died right now and I'm loving that. That's gonna be 5 stars. Despite what my channel looks like somebody came to my comments and was like, your entire channel is outraged. That's not actually true. I read a lot of shit I like. It's just that I use clickbait to get views, so it seems like a lot of what I do is hate, but I actually do a lot of positive reviews. Like, I really like a lot of things that I read. I recently did a video on Juniper and Thorn. I really enjoyed that book. That was more of a 4, not a 5. I almost gave Mask of Mirrors 5 stars, but it's sitting at a 4.5 still. So, you know, books. What tattoos, if any, do you have / want? The only one that you can see, unless you want to see my feet, which you're gonna have to pay. I have this one, which is all fucked up because this is supposed to be pink, not red, but this is the miscarriage ribbon. I got this when I had my first miscarriage, and then I had another one, so fuck me, right? That's another reason why I wish I had started my channel sooner. I really could have used something cathartic because I was so lost when I had my miscarriages and when my kid was in the NICU, and I really could have used a community at that point, and I just didn't have it. And I had a lot of like really traumatic things happen because the people that were supporting me through my NICU experience were my family, and that came with its own trauma, and I really needed people who were just in my corner. So yeah, I really wish I would have started this sooner, and I really could have used people who get it as far as miscarriages back when I had both of my miscarriages. So again, I really wish I would have started a channel sooner. If you could live anywhere, where would you go? Oh man, I would go back to Japan in a heartbeat, but I am also very interested in living in Brazil and Iceland. I'm hoping to go to Brazil next year. That's part of what I'm using my channel to save for, is I'm trying to save for any ad revenue I get. I'm trying to put it towards taking my husband on a trip, since he's been like our sole provider. I'm like, let me pay for like a cool vacation. So that's what I'm trying to do by having a channel. If you could, do you have a favorite piece of art in your home? Yeah, all my kids' art. I don't really hang up art. It's just not something I think about. But I have an entire wall of my kids' art. I love their art. I love everything that they make, everything that they do. Even if it's just scribbles from my 3-year-old, it's going on the wall. Even when we moved from like the old place to the new place, I brought all of the old scribbles. So yep, I love my kids' art. Ashley asked, canned pineapple on pizza. Canned pineapple, never. Canned pineapple on nothing. Canned pineapple in the trash. No. Favorite book of the Bible growing up and why, and how it influences your outlook today? Mine is Esther, because she was a badass and the only thing that gave me hope for the future. Yeah, so similar, definitely similar. I appreciate the story of Esther. I really do. I don't know. That's such a good question, but I don't know that I have a good answer for it. Looking back now, so like Revelation, my dad, if you're watching this, leave me the fuck alone. Revelations was taught to me very heavily as a kid, and I was taught that the end times were coming, and then I ended up having a lot of nightmares, even into adulthood, about basically the apocalypse is in Revelations, the last book of the Bible, where they believe that Jesus will come back and, you know, the earth is gonna get destroyed and all kinds of shit, right? So I feel a lot of power recently in sort of understanding that those were stories and not a prophecy. That I don't have to look at that and be scared of it. I can reclaim it and look at it as fiction and not fact. And I find power now in thinking about that and trying to weave that into like my own story that I'm writing. God knows if it'll ever get published, but you know, prophecy and using that in fiction is really fun. And I'm trying to reclaim that, because the fear is the entire reason I left Christianity, because it was my entire basis of my faith. I asked myself, why do you believe what you believe? And I said to myself, I am just afraid of what will happen if I don't. And I realized that's not a foundation at all. That's bullshit. So I ended up leaving Christianity, fundamentalism, and I feel so much more at peace now, because my entire relationship with religion was based on that fear. Even though I tried so hard for years to do what they told me, have a relationship with Christ, it was all about hell. It was all about being worried about hell and the apocalypse all the time. So it's not really a relationship if the answer is, if you don't have a relationship with me, you'll burn forever. So no, thank you. I don't like abuse. So I think I just find a lot of freedom in reclaiming the story of Revelation as fiction and as an interesting story rather than a prophecy and fact and what will happen. I find a lot of freedom in that. So I guess that's my answer. How it influences my outlook today is that I can choose how I deal with, I get to choose my view on the Bible. I don't have to have it told to me. I can choose how I do it, how I view it, and that's not something that freedom was never given to me. So choosing that for myself has been very liberating. Allie asked, how'd you get so fine? Makeup. I'm a solid 7 with makeup on, and I'm a solid 4 without it. How do you get through so many books you aren't enjoying? So I actually answered this in the thread, but I thought I'd say it here. So I actually read stuff at the same time. I read several books at once, and I'm always, though I do a lot of rant reviews here, those are my most popular, but I'm actually reading like always 3 or 4 things at once. And what ends up happening is that it creates this like great system of balance for me where I'm not just focusing on something I hate all the time, and I'm not just focusing on like good stuff all the time, so I can't really parse out what's good and what's not. I have this like great balancing act I do, unless I'm in a slump, where I'm able to read stuff that is challenging, that teaches me how to give better feedback, stuff that I really enjoy because I'm doing paid beta reading services. I'm able to give good critical feedback and type up these like feedback letters where I'm helping where I'm doing these like extensive reviews and telling authors and writers, you know, like, here's what works for me, here's what doesn't. And those things I don't really have to rate. I just say what works and what doesn't. Then I'm also reading stuff that I know I'm gonna enjoy. So, you know, I'm rereading, or I'm reading Elizabeth Acevedo, or I'm reading snippets of things, and then I don't finish them because I got what I needed out of them, as well as I'm reading something that's absolute trash, right? So I'm reading one of these, did it deserve 1 star, which typically it does. So it's about balance. It's a delicate balancing act for me. That is the only reason I am able to read so many bad books, is because I am also reading 2, 3 other things at the same time, and that makes it quite simple for me. It kind of like gives me, like, if I finish 50 pages of this shit book and get, you know, my notes compiled for it, then I can do 2 chapters of this audiobook that I'm super enjoying. So it's a great balancing act for me. It helps me very much. Wow, I just realized how much work I put into this. Holy shit. Anyway, that's my answer. That's it for the questions. So let me know if you have any more below and I can answer them. So on to the next part of this thank you for 5,000 subscribers video. Okay. Hi, welcome to the most embarrassing thing that I've done on the internet. Probably. I don't know for sure yet. Okay, so we're gonna rewatch my first ever YouTube video in honor of me hitting 5,000 subscribers, which is great. Like, I'm really happy that I hit 5,000 subscribers, but I deeply regret saying I would watch my oldest video. I don't wanna. It's bad. Before I continue, let me say a quick shout out to my tier 3 and 4 patrons, my Potato Starch Marxist and my Therapy Bills providers. So thank you to Lex, SJ, Allison, Carlin, Ebby, Paige, Sean, Shannon, Reba, Marcella, and Molly. Thank you for being a friend. I can't sing today. I am so embarrassed. I'm like, why am I doing this? Okay. My first ever YouTube video was me reviewing The Bear and the Nightingale. I don't know if you know, but I joined booktube because I didn't even know about it until I had thought, like, I wonder if anybody else on the internet is talking about my favorite book, Furyborn. So I did some typing and I found Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. That was the first booktube channel I ever came across. And I was like, this is so fun. I should do this. And I wish I would have done it sooner, but I didn't, and here we are. So, okay. The Bear and the Nightingale. What a great book. Wish I hadn't reviewed it like this. Look, there isn't even a thumbnail. This is privated, by the way. Oh, it's not. It's unlisted. Oh, now it's privated. Hell no. Nobody's watching this shit except for me. This is yikes. This is so yikes. Oh, God. I remember filming this in front of, I had one bookshelf at the time, and I remember filming this on the floor. I had set up my camera. It's the same camera I use now. I got the camera to take pictures of my kid, and I put my camera on top of a laundry basket and then some books to put it up, and that was my filming situation. And I didn't have a ring light, so I'm pretty sure that in this video at some point I'm filming and I'm like in the shadow, like I'm in the dark. So this is gonna be so fun for me to watch. Okay, let's just do it.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and this is my spoilery review of The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden.
I already hate this. I want to be dead. I want to die now. Thank you. It's been a fun run, y'all, but I would like to be dead. Why am I talking like that? Why am I so... I'll tell you why. I was so nervous. I was sitting in a room by myself, flipping the fuck out like, I can't do this. And now I get in front of the camera and I just say fuck shit and stupid stuff all the time. It takes a long time to get used to doing this. Oh God, this is so embarrassing. Okay.
The Bear and the Nightingale is a historical fiction written by Katherine Arden. It is the first in a trilogy called the Winter Night Trilogy, and the main character is Vasilisa. She goes by Vasya. The book is set in Russia, but Russia where the old Russian folklore is real and the magical creatures that come along with that are real. Not everyone can see them, but people pay tribute to them, very much a part of the land and the culture and such. Vasya is able to communicate with these magical creatures, unlike...
It's so bad. I hate it so much. Ah! Like, I don't even recognize this person. I know that that's me logically, but oh my God, who is this? First of all, I should have shaved my head a lot sooner. Like, look how much less hair I have now. Holy shit. And on top of that, wow, that's a really good place for me to have paused it. I love that for me. Wow, this is I don't even know what to say. It's just so bad. Like, this is not how I review books at all. Who is this person?
Like many around her, she has this...
The ums are on point though. I say constantly. You think you hear me say a lot in my videos now? I edit that shit out. I have it down to a science. I can tell in my editing software where I say now just by looking at it. I don't even have to hear myself. I'm like, that's an take that shit out. Take that shit out of there.
Which allows her to see them and communicate with them, and she becomes sort of an advocate for them. There's sort of a battle between the old Russian folklore that she has grown up with and the introduction of Christianity into her village and all of, Russia and their culture. So the old ways are sort of dying and Christianity is becoming more popular, and it's seen as sinful to...
I love that I'm playing with my hair. I recently got a comment from somebody who was like, stop touching your hair in videos. Been doing it since the beginning. Will not be stopping. Thank you.
Pay tribute to these mythical creatures that are not part of the Christian religion. Because of this, the villagers and many around Vasya in her village and in her life and in her family start to become fearful of anybody who sort of converses with these mythical creatures, or anybody who pays tribute to them. They are seen as demons, and so Vasya is seen as a witch. Vasya fights to keep the bad monsters away and keep the good creatures in their homes and in their village, so that they are protected from this great evil that is sort of being hinted at that is coming. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about is pacing. I have my notes because this is the first time I've ever done this, and
you don't say. Oh, babe.
This is really difficult. It was pretty...
It is. I agree, past Rachel. It is really difficult, actually. I still cannot film without notes, but I don't do notes the same way that I did here. I did previously like bullet points, and now I have like these rambly sentences where I get every thought out. That way it's sort of in like this cohesive thought pattern that I have both written down, and I look at it to remind myself. And you'll see me looking down in videos a lot because I have to refer back to it. I don't see that stopping anytime soon. But that's how I film. I have to have like I have to word vomit every thought I have. Otherwise I'm a disaster. And I know other people can film without notes. How are you doing that? How do I get the level of intelligence that you're at? I would like to know that. I would like to know that.
It was pretty slow, the pacing. It was hard to get through. I'd say the first half to maybe 60%. It's a lot of of explaining through the eyes of characters that are not the main character, Vasya, explaining through characters like her father and her nurse and even the Tsar of Russia at the time. And it's a lot of explaining the culture and the setting, and it's very slow. And from the
oh my god, I'm speaking of slow, I'm talking so slow I can't even stand this. If you are watching me right now on 1.5%, I'm about to change the speed of the video that I'm watching, so you're gonna want to butt me back down.
Synopsis, you would think that it would be more plot driven, but it's more character driven, setting driven. You're getting a lot of show of the politics of the time and the way that characters lived at the time and how Christianity is being introduced, and it's more setting than it is plot, and that made it very slow for the first couple hundred pages. So it was a little hard to get through, but I did enjoy it overall. I like Eastern European sort of culture. I'm Eastern European, so I guess it kind of feels like coming home, even though I've never been there. I guess it...
yeah, my family is Polish. So actually I have a great grandma and her sister were like the pierogi queens of the city that they lived in, and like my grandma opened a Polish my great grandma rather opened a Polish restaurant, and my grandma worked there. So yeah, that is sort of like my family and my culture on one side rather. I forgot a lot about this book. I never finished the trilogy, but I loved this book. It is very slow, and that's actually why I never reread it, is because I was never in the mood to get back into that very slow pacing. I guess I should probably reread it. I didn't remember it feeling like home. I guess yeah, that does track. It's incredible how much can change in 3 years. My God, when I was filming this, I had a baby. You can see in some of my old videos, I'll bring one up later, where I'm literally holding my baby who's now in preschool while I'm filming. So that's fun.
It didn't bother me, but for others that would be a problem. So if you don't like slow pacing, this probably is not going to be the book for you.
Oh, true. This is another thing where it's like atmospheric. If you really like atmospheric reads, you like to just immerse yourself in an atmosphere. Bear and the Nightingale, I remember that being one. Character study, and that's actually like behind me I have Graceling Fire and Bitter Blue. That's another series. So this reminds me that I've always been sort of like, if the writing is excellent, I can do no plot, but if the writing is shit and there's no plot, it's not for me.
It's also written very beautifully, but it's not written like a lot of young adult fantasy these days, so I think that some people would definitely...
I'm pretty sure it's adult anyway, isn't it? Isn't the Bear and Nightingale adult? I should have looked that up before I said that. Man, Past Me was kind of stupid.
Struggle, especially because not only the way is it written, but the pacing along with that causes it to be... It draws. It can draw. The characters were very well written, very believable. They seemed like real people to me. She did a very good job, Katherine Arden did, of making very believable, tangible relationships between people. This is my son. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my oldest is in this. I didn't remember that. He's 6 years old now. Wait, I'm sorry. I have to hear his little voice.
This is my son. Yeah. Okay. Shh. No, you should. The family dynamic.
No, you should. That's me with my youngest, because he'll come in, and if you're in my Patreon, you just saw my bookshelf organization where he hops in and he's like, actually, this is my video now. Let me take it from here. And that is very much like that. That's really why I became a booktuber, was like I really needed something for me, but there was not, I guess even from the jump, you can see that like this was never something that was untouched by my kids, which I kind of love. Like it can be frustrating to like try to find a time to be alone to do this, but now I look back and I'm like, man, I haven't heard his little voice. If you don't know, my kids have delays, and man, just 3 years ago my 3-year-old couldn't speak. He mumbled, and he was just enrolled in a program where he was getting speech therapy. So that's really incredible, like hearing his little voice where he is still technically, I guess, baby talking because he was speech delayed, and now he talks nonstop. That's amazing. He still has a little bit of a speech delay, and he is on the spectrum, so that's we're still
still getting him, enrolled in his stuff and his therapies. But man, that really warms my heart. Like, he's come such a long way. Oh my God. I love my kid so much. Okay. Sorry.
Next in this was also very well written. The main character has several siblings and a half sibling, and Katherine Arden did a really good job of making each sibling their own person. They're distinguishable. Her relationship with all of them is very different. She's very close with her sister, and she's very close with one of her older brothers, and he is one of the only people who believes her when she talks about all these creatures. He's one of the only people who advocates for her, and I really appreciated their relationship in particular, and I look forward to seeing more of them in the next book.
Except I didn't read the next books. I think that, and I didn't say this here, but I think that part of the reason that I loved that so much was that that really resonated with me on like a personal level. I have an older sister who is more of like a rule abider than I am, whereas Vazia is not a rule abider. So I really saw myself in Vazia, and having an older brother that advocated for her is also something that I have experienced in my life. My older brother was one of my biggest advocates when I was going through some stuff, and that really resonated with me. So I think that I wonder if I just saw my siblings reflected so well in this story, and I wonder if other people would say, this is one of those times where I'm like, am I reviewing objectively or subjectively? Because it's like, am I seeing that the characters are well fleshed out, or am I seeing something that I know in my personal life through this book? So that's helpful for me as a reviewer now looking back on this. So is this the ultimate cringe fest? Absolutely. But this is actually helping me.
Antagonists, not so much villains, but antagonists in this book. Her stepmother.
Oh yeah, the stepmom.
Constantine the priest. They are very interesting. You don't necessarily like them, but you understand and are able to sort of rationalize why they do the things they do. My only complaint was that I found Constantine to be extremely creepy in his sort of obsession with Vazia, even when she was younger. It was icky. The actual villain in...
So that's interesting. Like, now I look back on this very differently. You can really change your mind from year to year, can't you? So I look back on this differently now. I really appreciate Constantine as an antagonist, because I see him reflected, now that I've deconstructed more from fundamentalism, I see him reflected more and more in patriarchal male religious figures that I experienced growing up. And now that I can identify that, I appreciate that more. I see that Katherine Arden was doing that very purposefully, and I think she did that well. Also, I think that now looking back, I would have complained about, I think the stepmom's name was Anna. I would have complained about the fact that Anna really was a victim herself, and at the end gets like gruesomely murdered. And I think that that's an issue that I wonder if that gets explored in like the further books, where it's like, Anna was an antagonist, but did she really deserve the end that she met, considering she was a victim herself?
The book is known as Medved, the bear, and he is
the villain.
This character who is sort of the opposite side of the coin to the frost demon. They're brothers, though I don't think that means they're actually like brothers as we would think of them. It's sort of part of like the unexplained Russian folklore part of it, where you just kind of accept, okay, they're brothers. And Medved is a character who basically feeds upon the fear of people, and since fear is very much a theme in this book, and you see the people of Vazia's village become more and more fearful, the introduction of Christianity and the old ways are dying and they're seen as demonic, you get more and more fear, and Medved is sort of making a reappearance. As I said, fear is a big theme in the book. It's sort of its own antagonistic element, which I found really interesting. I'm big on when religion is introduced into fantasy and it's used in different capacities, but I liked in this book how it was seen as negative side effects of it. I found Morozko, the
Yeah, that's an ongoing theme here. I don't think if you would have asked me back then, like, hey, do you think you'll do videos on like Christian fundamentalism? I would have been like, no, in this weird breathy voice I'm using here. This is a completely different person. I was so nervous. I was really trying to be like nice and likable and non-controversial. Yeah, that's just okay. Anyway. stupid. My God, this is a cringe fest. I think that I have realized that I am so far away from ever going back. I think here I thought about maybe could I go back into like Christianity in some capacity? And now the answer is like firmly no. Back then I think I was still waffling, and here I think that I was like, I think I didn't realize how much books that featured religion, now that I think of it, really helped me deconstruct further. Having religion portrayed in fiction, that really helped me flesh out a lot of inner turmoil, I think, and helped me understand better things that I had went through and where I wanted to go from there. So that's interesting. Okay.
Frostymon, I'm murdering the pronunciation of these names. I found the Frostymon to be a very interesting, morally gray character. I really liked his connection to Vasya, and I appreciated his relationship with his horse and how she was always kind of saying without saying things to him, and they were a really interesting dynamic and a fun read.
Magical animal companions, yeah, that's still on brand for me. Still a thing I love. I don't remember the horse though, so that didn't stay with me. That's interesting.
I liked how he sort of inspired not fear in just in the sense of being afraid, but this respect and this awe in the people around him, including Vasya's father, and I just found him really interesting. I liked the dynamic between him and Vasya, and I look forward to continuing to see where their relationship.
Now that I think of it, I guess that maybe Katherine Arden was maybe trying to have a conversation about fear used in Christianity, because when we say we fear the Lord, it means we're in awe of the Lord. So maybe she was trying to have a conversation about fear in the way that Medved was feared versus the way that Moroshko was feared. So that's interesting. That's something I didn't really think about when I had first read this.
Relationship goes, seems like it will probably be romantic, which, it's fine even if they're, just friends, but I found their dynamic to be very interesting, and I look forward to seeing more of that. Vasya herself is a wonderful main character. She's very funny, she's very adventurous, she's very self-sufficient. It's very hard to find a main character like this in fantasy lately. A lot of characters are written so that they sort of like need a man to come in and explain everything and help them do everything, and it can get kind of annoying. So I really appreciate that Vasya was very stubborn and driven and tenacious, and that she was going to help these magical creatures regardless of what everyone thought of her, what everyone did to her, and I just really appreciated who she was. My favorite quote from the book is from Vasya herself, and it says, "All my life," she said, "I have been told to go and come. I am told how I will live, and I am told how I must die. I must be a man's servant and a mare for his pleasure, or I must hide myself behind walls and surrender my flesh to a cold, silent God."
Yeah, I remember this quote. I love it. I think she says in the end, I would rather go and like die in the woods than live my life for somebody else, is essentially the quote. I remember that. I really loved that. That really resonated with me.
I would walk into the jaws of hell itself if it were a path of my own choosing. I would rather die tomorrow in the forest than live 100 years of the life appointed to me. Other than pacing, the only issue I had with it was I did wish that we had more of an explanation and more time to get to know characters that were the Russian folklore, the mythical creatures. I wish that we had a little more explanation, a little more character building with them, because they just sort of felt like, this is a creature, it does this, and then it would talk to Vasya and be like very foreboding, telling her, this evil is coming, Medved, and you don't really get to know these characters. All you know is, they kind of protect the home, and that's it.
I think that now having a little bit more fantasy under my belt that contains folklore elements, I understand Katherine Arden doing that. And upon reread, I probably would not wish for that. I wouldn't want the magical creatures to be more explained and fleshed out in their own way. They are there for that purpose, sort of like in a fairy tale type way, where, the magical creature comes along to help the main character along their way. So I get what she was doing with that, and it makes sense to me now.
There wasn't much explanation, so I did not enjoy that so much. I wanted to know more, but then again, the best books leave you wanting just a little bit more, so maybe it's a good thing. I am going to continue the series, so I guess in the end, Katherine Arden wins. But I gave The Bear and the Nightingale.
I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. No, I didn't continue the series. I feel bad. There's a lot of series I haven't continued. I am one of those serial reads one book, doesn't continue. Super good at that. I am a serial offender.
4 out of 5 stars, and I will continue the series, and I will be reviewing The Girl in the Tower after I finish it, so stay tuned, I guess. I really appreciated Katherine Arden's writing, and I'm hoping to read more of her work. So let me know in the comments if you have read The Bear and the Nightingale, and if you are a fan of the series, and if you continued, and if you liked The Girl in the Tower more. I know some books sort of suffer from that second book syndrome, which makes me so sad. So I hope that I'm going to enjoy it just as much as I did The Bear and the Nightingale, and I'm hoping that the pacing will be just a little bit better. So let me know in the comments what you thought.
I was like, where the fuck is that music coming from? I never do like end of video music, so that was so fucking weird. I was like, who the fuck is playing music? It's me. Yep, there he is. Oh god, I hated this book. This is one of my earlier videos too. He's a little tiny little baby.
Review of published.
Dang, he was
Galaxy
in this book.
Called the same, and he will be joining us for the duration of this video. I guess. I'm a mom first and a YouTuber like 25th.
Oh my god, he's so tiny. Like, I don't even recognize him. This is crazy business. He was so little. Now he has this like long curly hair. He's so stinking tiny. This is crazy. This is just like a few months after we had this like insane experience with the NICU. And man, that's another reason I wish I would have like started my channel earlier. Was I just wish that I had that when like I was going through all of that NICU shit, because man, I was so lonely and shit was so fucked up, and I really could have used a community at that point. Look how small he is. He's a little tiny, he's an actual bebe, like a little baby. Holy shit. This is amazing. This has turned into me watching old videos of my kids. This is crazy business. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, sorry about that. I had to go see him. He's so little. He's so little. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. God, I hated Aurora Rising. Okay, that's it. That is my thank you for 5,000 subscribers video. I'm now actually at 5655. Wow, those are numbers. I super appreciate everybody. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for this channel. This really gives me a chance to like do something for me and just be myself, and but also like look back and like disagree with myself is a really interesting thing to do. So I appreciate that. It's better than like looking back at my old Facebook posts, which can be way worse than this. Let me tell you, the delete button has been strong. But this is good. Like I'm glad that I watched that, even though, wow, major cringe fest. I'm glad that I watched it because that was really helpful for me to like see how far my reviewing has come and my understanding of like reading critically. So that was fun. Okay, thanks again to my patrons and my subscribers, new and old. I appreciate y'all. Absolutely roast me in the comments. Please just absolutely roast me. Make fun of me. Spare me no mercy. I can take it. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.